Hello and welcome to Evan. So why did I recently start increasing my fat intake? That might seem like a strange thing for me to do if you've seen my videos before this one, because I advocate for a vegan, low fat, low protein, high carbohydrate or high sugar diet for weight loss and regaining your health and staying lean as a cyclist, but also in the rest of life. Well, recently I've actually had an injury that's been going on for over a month. Essentially, I've torn something in my groin, which has kept me off the bike for almost a month. However, in that period, I still remained on the vegan, high sugar or high carbohydrate, low fat, low protein lifestyle, and I did not gain any weight even without exercise for almost a month. So I did no exercise for a month and I remained about 65 kilos at 5'11". But recently, as I've been getting fitter and my injury has been getting better and I'm no longer in pain, I think I'm ready to start training. And now in August, I want to target the goals, maybe if there's any road races left in September, or hill climbing. So I want to target hill climbing, and in order to get enough training in to train like a pro for the next few months, I recommend increasing your fat intake at the start of a training block. So I'll show you the foods that I had to eat that I would recommend in this specific scenario. So it's a very specific reason for why I would recommend increasing your fat intake. So I put on almost 1.5 kilos in almost 2 weeks, 10 days to 2 weeks, and I'll show you the foods when I get back to HQ. I'll show you the foods that I had. So it was still vegan foods, but they were foods high in fat. And yes, this is the only reason why I would recommend increasing your fat intake, is if you're going to start a large training block. I don't recommend going into doing lots of training already very lean. So if I'm not exactly sure what my race weight would be for hill climbs, maybe 64, 65 kilos. I'll find that out in a few months, because I lose weight and I find my race weight by essentially the amount of training I do. So I'm always lean, and then when I do training, I get very lean. So like and subscribe, and there's another half of this video coming. I just thought I'd show you what I look like. I'm still lean, so I'm still under 67 kilos at 5'11". So I just thought I'd show you what I look like. I don't look overweight, and if you want to lose weight as a cyclist, then get in touch on the email in the description if you want personalised coaching to lose weight and to get fit. So essentially, if you want the basics, it's vegan, low fat, low protein, high sugar. And if you want a road bike, I recommend one like this. You need to get a power meter. I recommend one with rim brakes because they're cheap, they're easy to maintain, and I think for the road, they're best for performance. So yeah, I increased my fat intake for training. That's the specific thing. I don't always eat loads of fat. So the fat you eat is the fat you wear. So always remember, when you go to buy the food for nutrition, the fat you eat is the fat you wear. Here are the foods that I ate over the last 10 days to 2 weeks in order to put on weight. So on this channel, I help people to become more healthy. And one of the main markers of being healthy is losing weight. But I recommend losing weight not through restricting calories, but changing to the foods that I recommend. And you can eat as much of the foods as I recommend and you can lose weight. So I recommend eating to lose weight rather than starving yourself to lose weight. So there's no calorie counting on this channel, just having fun. Because if things are fun, well, life's better, and you can continue to do something every day if it's fun. So that's the main thing about why people diet, is because they eat their weight yo-yos up and down. So yo-yo dieting. So this channel is not about dieting, but I have to say, firstly, I do not usually recommend eating foods like this. Okay, if you're wanting to lose weight. So I recommend a vegan, high sugar or high carbohydrate, low fat, low protein lifestyle. And yeah, there's a lot of confusion, and I see mostly the messages that I see is, I think the mainstream message is lots of fat and lots of protein, and the more of it, the better. Even though most people are overweight and sick from some chronic disease or a combination of them, like obesity and diabetes, type 2 diabetes, for example. Whereas the foods that I recommend are low in fat, low in protein, and high in carbohydrates. So I'm always lean because of the foods I eat. So I was about 65 kilos about a month ago, and about a month ago I had an injury, so more than a month ago now. So about end of June 2025, I had got an injury, off the bike injury. So it was not because of cycling, it was off the bike. So cycling's great because it's a low impact sport, and usually it's the sport that, or the exercise that I would recommend in order to rehabilitate yourself to become fit. And being able to go fast on your bike is a good marker of your VO2, and also, you know, your health that you can't see on the inside, like your heart health. So it's a good marker of actually being healthy, going fast on the bike, or being able to ride your bike for a long time and long distances. So I wasn't able to exercise for a month, and yeah, it was not great. I felt a bit mentally, it was tough, but now I'm feeling better, and I'm getting the sensations back that I think I'm ready to start training again. So I was 65 kilos before my injury, and I remained at about 65 kilos, eating the foods that I recommend. So vegan, high sugar diet, low fat, low protein. I remained without exercise at the weight I was starting at the period where I wasn't exercising. So essentially, yeah, I was about 65 kilos, and then I just maintained that weight, eating as much of the foods as I recommend, such as fruit juice. I love fruit juices, so that's just one thing, for example. And now, these are the foods that I've eaten in the last about 2 weeks. I've stopped eating now, actually, like this for the last few days. So for the last 10 days or 2 weeks, I was eating like this, increasing my fat intake because I'm wanting to train like a pro. So if you're going to go into a training block, quite a tough training block, because you know that you're ready to train for a goal that's coming up. So for me, in the UK, that will be probably hill climbs, starting maybe September, excuse me, September and October 2025. And I already have quite a good level of fitness because I've been riding for years and years. So that's actually from now in 12th, 13th of August, or mid-August it is now. And yeah, that's not actually that long. It's only 6 weeks or so, maybe, until my first race that I would be targeting. But I already have quite a lot of fitness. So a month off the bike or a month doing absolutely no exercise, yeah, I'm going to be unfit, but I still have a good level of fitness. So I'm going to target trying to get as fit as I can. So I'm going to be doing another series. So that'll be basically training like a pro for, I'll probably do a video, aim to do a video every day for 4 weeks, showing the foods I eat, the routine I have, the bike, the sleep, how to have good sleep, and what to eat, and the kit, and so everything. So like and subscribe for that and support the channel. Hope you enjoy those videos. And yeah, it's a nuance. Okay, it's nuanced. So I do not recommend eating like this all the time. This is essentially one of the very few times. So just off the top of my head, the 2 times that I would only ever recommend eating like this. So I've got ice cream and pizza and crisps, popcorn and crisps and cookies and more ice cream and more pizza. So essentially the first time I'd recommend it would be if you've been essentially calorie counting so much. So you've been doing calories in versus calories out and essentially starving yourself. So you're eating, I don't know, maybe for a man, you're eating less than 2,000 calories. I would say anything less than 3,000 calories a day for a man, I would recommend is not enough. So you need at least 3,000, if not 3,500 for a man. And for a woman, I would say nothing less than 2,500 to 3,000 calories. You know, nothing less really than 2,500 calories. And if you have been for a long time, and essentially you're becoming very, very thin and lean, and you sort of, you become unhealthy, that's when you'll need to essentially, yes, you'll want to eat fat as well, because you just essentially need to put as much weight on as you can, because essentially, you know, your health is really suffering. But again, that's something that has to be nuanced again. So you have to start eating more, and obviously fat is the high calorie food compared to sugar. So fat is more than twice the amount of calories per gram. So that might take you 6 weeks or 6 months in order to come back up to a healthy weight, and then you can reduce the fat back down. So that's essentially like life saving. So you just need to eat in order to save your life, because you've just become so thin because you just haven't been eating enough. And then the other reason would be like this. So if you're going into a heavy training block, so you're going to do a lot of training on the foods that I recommend, so low fat, low protein, high sugar, then yes, to start the block, maybe a few weeks or a month before. Again, it depends individually, but generally a few weeks or a month before, a few months before, I would recommend increasing your fat just to add a few kilos of fat. So the fat you eat is the fat you wear. And then you won't already be really lean going into your training. So if you want to have the best foods, the best diet during training, which essentially you want to have a low fat diet during training, then you'll become very, very lean during training. So say it's an individual, it can be based individually depending on, you know, your height and your level of fitness, but generally increasing your fat intake just to put a few kilos on. So I went from about 65 kilos to about 66.5 kilos, and I've stopped eating like this now, and guess what, my weight has stopped. So this is, again, you know, I go on about how sugar doesn't make you fat. Well, fat makes you fat. So these yes, they have carbohydrates in them, but these are very high in fat. So you're looking at 20, 30, 40, maybe a little bit more at times per 100 grams. You're having, you know, that's 20, 30, 40% fat per 100 grams. And I never recommend to be lean and healthy all year round. I would say 10 grams of fat a day at the most. So 10 grams of fat on average, and then really that's just what I've found works for most people. And really, if you want to start gaining weight, which if you want to be healthy, you want to be leaner, But if you want to gain weight, just eat more than 20 grams of fat and you'll get fat. So I hope you enjoyed the video and you realize that no, I'm not suddenly changing. I'm not suddenly changing from recommending a low fat, high sugar diet or low fat, low protein, high sugar. This is just so you switch the alarm bells off. I'm still vegan. It's my message will always be vegan, high sugar, because it's the best way to live. It's the best way to enjoy life. And if you say, well, sugar makes you fat, makes me fat, or make you fat, well, I was lean and then adding fat in over the last 2 weeks. Guess what happened? I gained weight and I was still eating generally the same amount of calories. So the density of calories, yes, it's higher, but I didn't really enjoy eating. I didn't. If I when I had essentially, if that was filled with white rice and I'd eaten that, I'd want to keep eating more. But I already knew that because it's got so much fat in, essentially I didn't want to eat more. And yeah, I recommend eating to feel full, which is what I do. And essentially, because I don't eat like this, it's sort of when I do, maybe, I do this maybe once a year when I'm coming into training, I might do this. It's sort of a strange feeling in my mind because it's like, oh, I'm eating like what other people eat and everyone eats like this, so they must enjoy it. And I sort of maybe enjoy it for the first few days, and then mentally I just don't enjoy it because I know that you're just going to uncontrollably gain weight. And I think controlling your weight through adding these foods in essentially once a year, really, if you were going to wanted to target some specific block of racing, then yes, you could do this. So I hope you enjoy the video and you're not confused. If you are confused about what I'm talking about, then you know, you can put a question in the comment section. And just one last thing. So I've also got a can of Coke here and some salsa, hot salsa, a bit too hot for me. But these are actually the foods that usually, just through association, people say, oh, well, these are the foods that make you fat. Because quite often you have salsa with your crisps or Coke with your crisps, for example, or Coke with your pizza. And they say, well, it's the Coke. Well, Coke is sugar-free, and this salsa, it's almost fat-free. It's 0.1 grams, 0.2 grams of fat per 100 grams. And this is 300 grams. So there's less than 1 gram of fat in this, and there's no fat in this. So just to reiterate, it's the fat you eat the fat you eat is the fat you wear. And yes, most channels say the opposite, the complete opposite of what I say. And the only way people get away, people who are saying, well, fat's good, the only way you get away with staying moderately lean or moderately sort of a normal weight, so maybe 70 kilos or around 70 kilos for 6 foot, maybe for a man, for example. The way you get away with staying at that weight is you just count calories. Okay, so basically you say, well, I'm just not going to eat more, and you just stop. So you just starve yourself that day. So even if you get to lunchtime and you go, oh, I've already had 2,000 calories of fat, you just stop. But the foods that I recommend, you can eat as much of them as you want. Okay, you can eat as much of them as you want. Unlimited calories, because it's the low calorie foods. So that's, say, well, what's the secret? Well, it's that they just have to limit their calories, i.e. they just have to limit how much they eat. So anyone will stay lean if they don't eat. It's as simple as that. Okay, so don't be fooled. And also you get all of the other health problems. Heart disease is the foremost chronic disease. Lack of heart disease is health. Okay, not having heart disease is healthy. having heart disease is not healthy, and heart disease is caused by excess fat consumption, and type 2 diabetes is also caused by excess fat consumption, paralyzing insulin, and therefore sugar remains high in the blood. But that's for another videos on the channel. So I've got another series showing what foods I eat to make sure that you don't get type 2 diabetes, which is from excess fat and protein, but essentially excess fat. So get in touch on the email in the description if you want personalized coaching for becoming healthy. So what foods do you eat? Well, I can help you with that. And if you don't want to do that, then at least like and subscribe and support the channel that way, so that we can share the message of truth. Okay. So fat is bad 99% of the time, apart from when you want to add weight. Okay. So mostly you want to be losing weight and maintaining weight. But if you want to add a little bit of weight before a large amount of training, then that's the only time I'd recommend. And then otherwise, if you're starting to eat the way I recommend, then yes, at first you might need to eat some fat if you're on the, you've starved yourself from calories. So like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao. Thank you for your time.